Hello everyone, so this is what we are going to talk about today. So I made a playable demo for my game and it could do over 200 FPS. Here you see it's 260, sometimes go to 300 as well. But I have a real problem here. See, when I move around, my frame stutters, and you can see that in this unit graph as well. This is the playable demo, by the way, of my city builder game that I'm working on. So yeah, now here you see, this is the important thing. Here we have 200 plus FPS, but I have made a shortcut to cap that. Now here you see, pay attention here, it's only 60 FPS now. And now when I move around, I don't see any stuttering at all. Even though same as before, I have the same infinite terrain. I can move around. As I move around, terrain is generated. Everything is happening as before, but I just don't get that stuttering. Even though the frame rate here is less than what we had before. Now let me switch back to the uncapped FPS spacing. Now see what happens. Stuttering is back again. Okay, so this is the symptom. And I'm going to show you what are the settings that I used to overcome that. Alright, first let's see what's going on here. So initially I was running this in the editor. When I was running this in the editor, I didn't notice any stuttering at all. I only notice this when I make a playable demo. So which is usually the case is the other way. In playable demo, we usually have better performance compared to the editor, but it wasn't the case here. Even though I had the higher FPS, of course, it wasn't what I wanted. So yeah, when I enable stat units, I could see what's going on. So the fix does not include any change. It's identical world, identical code, identical map, everything is same. But this is what's going on. When I'm on 200 FPS, my baseline is per frame is 500 milliseconds and the spike is 30 milliseconds. So this spike happens when I move around the world. As I said, landscape chunks are generated because I have an infinite terrain underneath in my game. So they are generating. So that's what causing this spike. So 30 ms is not a problem actually, but against 500 baseline, again 5 millisecond baseline, this is what happens. 30 milliseconds is 6 times the jolt in a 5 millisecond frame. But this is when I have uncapped 200 plus FPS baseline. But when I cap the frame rate to 60 per frame, it's 16 milliseconds, and the jolt is when we have the frame spike that goes to 30 milliseconds, it's just only 1.8 jolt. So it's the same as spike, but we don't really feel that. So the important thing here is the perceived smoothness is not equal to the peak frames per second. A consistent 60 FPS is always better than some swingy 200 FPS. Plus, this is a city builder. Why do I need a 200 FPS anyway? I mean, if it is something like a shooter, I know it makes sense, but city builder, it should be fine, right? So yeah, these are the settings. Just as you see, it's just not much. Even though this VSync is not actually, even without VSync, it will fix most of the things, but this smooth frame rate, this is the most important thing. So here I have enabled be smooth frame rate to true, and I have set min to 22 and max to 60. And you can see these settings under project, config, and DefaultEngine.ini file. You can change these settings there. So what I did is change these settings there, and package the build. So here, this is the important one. Max smooth frame rate is 60, so we don't go above 60 FPS. And this is 22 FPS. So this is masked. These are masked, and this VSync is when VSync is enabled, we don't see tearing on top of the frame capping. So yeah, that's all I did. Yeah, but so these are the benefits, cost and benefits of VSync. You have a small lag in the inputs, but benefit is no tearing, predictable cadence, lower GPU temperatures, facing aligned to monitor refresh. So it's for a city builder or a strategy game, it's totally worth it. For a FPS, maybe not, but it's your decision. So the important thing here is I didn't really fix anything. I just hid the real bug. But in my case, it's kind of hard to avoid this spike because that happens with the generation of the terrain tiles as I move around. So here, let me show you again. You see, there are terrain tiles in the distance, but here you see not much. But if I move in, see, if I move in this angle, you see terrain tiles are being generated, and the spike here is minimum with the 60 FPS. So yeah, that's the real problem we have, which is kind of unavoidable. But other than capping FPS, there are some options that you could still try. PSO precaching. This is to avoid any kind of shader compilation installs on first use of materials, and MaxBuildsPerFrame. So this is something that is specific to my project. PSO caching is not specific. This is something specific to my project because I have a way to cap how many chunks in the world are generated per frame. So we can reduce that if you're using my plugin, but that's not common for all the projects. And of course, lowering the foliage density or increasing the texture pool, those things are the options that you can look into if you need further optimization. So yeah, the lesson is don't optimize for the wrong number. Same code, same machine, same frame, different number on the FPS counter. Before 200 FPS high variance feels bad. After 60 FPS low variance feels great. So the number that mattered is not actually the real frames per second, it's just stability mostly, at least for a city builder. So yeah, thanks for watching. This plugin that I'm using to generate an infinite world, it is already available in Fab, and also the Citizen, which I'm doing the city building in the runtime. That will also be coming to Fab very soon. I'll drop a link in description when it is ready, and of course, you can get early access to everything I do in my Patreon page. I'll leave a link to that also in the description below. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and see you in another episode. Goodbye.